Hello and welcome back to Shutter Drives. This has to be one of the most iconic cars we have featured. This is the legendary, the super duper iconic Land Rover Defender 110 straight away from 1997. Firstly, this was based loosely on the iconic Land Rover of the 1940s, but the name was changed to Defender because Land Rover also wanted to get the Discovery in place in parallel. And this is one of the nicest and the best maintained Land Rover Defenders of that era in the country. And you had this massive spare wheel which could be mounted on the front hood. Probably this is the only car I've seen this. I've seen spare wheels mounted on the roof, sides and whatnot, but spare wheel mounted on the front bonnet is super duper iconic. Again, you have the chambers here optionally additional for extra air intake in case you wanted. Coming to the front design, you have this nice halogen headlamps here, but what's iconic is the parking lamp and the indicators, which are round in shape. You have the iconic Land Rover grille placed right in the center of the car in the front with horizontal slats running across it. And of course, you got the full metal bumper in the front. In a couple of key statistics, the top speed of this car was 144 km/h and the 0 to 100 timing is 14.7 seconds. The turning radius is a massive 6.4 meters, and this had an insane towing capacity of 4 tons with an impressive water wading depth of 500 millimeters. You must have resonated a lot of Defender 110s with 5 doors, but this was a limited edition. That's why this came in 3 doors. This had a seating capacity of 2, 3 or 11 seaters, and trust me on this is rarer than a diamond today. So this was a nice boxy classy design here. Look at this freaking iconic tail lamps. You have this top lamp here, indicator here, reverse light here. Very iconic. Everything in this car screams iconic. And of course you got a grab rail, but this is the only way to get inside the car right now. You had the nice side facing seats here, 2 seats in the front, 2 seats in the middle row and 2 seats at the rear, making it a proper 6-seater. And trust me, the whole objective was Land Rover wanted to create a car, they wanted to build a car which can carry a lot of cargo space, and that's why this particular Defender 110 came into existence. You have this nice see-through headrest here for the second row seats. So you got 16-inch wheels here, nice steel wheels, military grade wheels right out there. But I'll show you something very interesting in this car. One of the most quirkiest features we have seen. So basically you got the fuel cap which was removable. You could remove the fuel cap very easily once you open it. All you have to do is just do this. But what's interesting is you had this massive pipe coming out, and this was ensured that when you put your jerry can, it will be very convenient for you to store it. And this also got a fuel filter which could actually filter out all the dirt and other particles. And this, you had a very impressive ground clearance of 220 millimeters, which means this could go over any kind of obstacle no matter whatsoever. The approach angle was a very nice 45 degrees, and it got a departure angle of 50 degrees. And this was based on the ladder frame chassis, of course. But what's nicer is this body was based on the aluminum alloy, which means that, you know, even after 27 and 28 years, this has not rusted even a single bit. That speaks about the volumes of quality that this car actually got. And of course, this came directly imported from England. This is exactly where the car was made in, and nothing has been restored. Everything is original and absolutely intact. And this Defender 110 got live axle coil springs on all the 4 wheels, and not just leaf springs that we see in most of the older cars. So this is the very nice analog speedometer here. This is the fuel gauge, temperature gauge, and this is the very beautiful clock which costs more than ₹1,00,000 today. And there are plenty of warning lights here in case something goes wrong, which ideally shouldn't. So once you step inside this iconic Defender 110, you'll be greeted with a lot of utilitarian interiors. You have this nice hydraulic power steering here. The instrument cluster looks beautiful. You have analog speedometer on the left, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, and this clock, the iconic Land Rover clock, which costs more than ₹1,00,000 today. And you have this mirror, of course, not auto dimming. You have this cabin light here. You have a nice integrated ashtray here, which is super duper utilitarian. You have cigarette lighter here, and this car came up with 2 different keys. One is for the ignition here on the left, and then you had another key here. This was for the steering lock. So this was the 5-speed gearbox that the car was equipped with. This is the transfer case, low ratio, high ratio, and this was the neutral with a diff lock, of course. A lot of cabin storage spaces here, and this is the massive storage space in the front center armrest, below the front center armrest. And the seats of this car are still original, they are absolutely intact. This was powered by a 3.5 liter V8 petrol engine, 8 cylinders, pumping out 136 bhp and 256 newton meters of torque in this Land Rover Defender 110 from 1997. And trust me on this car does not feel like this is almost 27-28 years old. This still drives very nice. Of course, the gear shifters Of course, the gear shifts are quite hard, especially the clutch. The clutch is quite robust. It's super duper hard, especially when you're moving upwards from the lower gears. Speaking of the driving position is absolutely insane. You have the spare wheel mounted on the front bonnet of the car, and you can see the complete bonnet end to end. In fact, you can see this complete spare wheel as well. So the top speed was 144 km per hour. Of course, we can't demonstrate that right now. And the 0 to 100 timing is 14.7 seconds. This another crazy part is this had a massive turning radius of 6.4 meters, which is really insane. And then you had this front windshield, which was almost like say 80 to 90 degrees, giving you superb visibility even in the rains, off-road conditions, or whatsoever. So this was the hydraulic power steering. This car got AC, this got power steering, but it did not get power windows. So that was one of the things. You'll have to use a hand to roll up and roll down the windows. And this was very capable when it came to off-roading, and it has won many trophies worldwide. Speaking of the braking, this car was powered by all 4 disc brakes, which meant that the stopping capabilities of this car was really good.